A lot of people liked the Vectis because it had one round, and with the charge chamber in there, it means every round does an extra 40% damage. So I can understand that. But then the Prime one came out and everyone went, it's got 2 rounds, they've ruined the gun, it's useless, It looks nicer, because it has this part in the middle now that spins, which it didn't before, but it does more damage if you compare it with the Vectis on the right. It does 40 more impact, and near enough 50, maybe 60, I'm not going to do the math, more puncture, but it has lost 8 slash, wow. But it has a second round, so when you try to double tap something, you can actually do it. Whereas with a Vectis, if you don't kill them with one shot, you've got to reload, then fire. But there is actually a way of fixing it, so this thing does more damage and only has one shot, as you can clearly see here, because, you know, everybody knows.
Bitches love cannons.
I did this with Depleted Reload. It takes away 60% of the magazine, but it adds 48% to reload, and it is solely for snipers, the same as Charge Chamber is plus 40% damage on the first shot, which means every round from this thing is going to have plus 40% damage, and this should make it really nice. With Split Chamber in here, sometimes it'll fire 2 rounds, which I'm assuming both of them should have the 40%. I've added Corrosive on with Malignant Force and High Voltage. I did dump Fast Hands in exchange for Piercing Caliber, because it adds 120% puncture, because I've already got 87.1% status on this. 62.5% crit is nice, so Vital Sense in there would increase the multiplier to that for the damage, but Point Strikes on there does increase it a little bit, but I've just found that adding the extra bit of physical damage helps, especially considering... That's a siren in the background. I don't know how well that's going to come through. But it's every time, I swear. But with this thing in here, it helps against things like the Sentient, which has... I don't want to say an increased immunity to physical damage, hence the elemental side of it. But it's kind of a best of both worlds, but Viral Sense or Vital Sense, whatever it's called, would go well in exchange for this. Again, this is not the best of builds. I'm basically concentrating on these two here because turning this thing back into a single round weapon has increased the damage and it made Charge Chamber usable on this weapon again. So we have a level 100 heavy gunner, 4,300 and something. I have no idea, I did not see that one. See, this is the problem here. I can't see what the numbers are. But for argument's sake, it was like 4 rounds. Taking the mod off and spawning in another one. I would spawn in 2, but this time I'll leave it exactly the same. I should have gone 105, but I wasn't really thinking that much about it. I managed to get 8,000 and something from one of those. God, see what the numbers are. That's really 773. I was 6,400 and something. But you can see, it's taking more rounds to take her down. This thing actually works really well against the infested here. If you can... Did you see that? Completely missed. I'm getting weird numbers. I mean, there's 13,000 and there's 55,000. What the hell? Obviously getting the headshot kind of helps a lot, getting crit shots, but I've never managed to find where the head of these things is. It's great against different kinds of enemies. I mean, I kind of wish I figured out how this zoom works at long range, but that's a level 105 crewman. And there's another one. And he survived. There will be no survivors here today. So taking on the Grenier, it does seem not as effective if they've got armor, which is weird with it being a puncture based weapon, but it still works fairly well. But it still suffers from the same old problems that most sniper rifles do in this game. There isn't really a place for a sniper rifle in Warframe.